All right, here is some function notation that looks a little different. I mean, I think all of function notation seems like it looks different each time. It can be confusing for sure. So we've got h of x and g of x, and we're supposed to find h of g of -3. So I like to just go in the order that it says. I start at the first part. So the first thing it says is h of whatever. So I'm going to go up to h of x, and I'm going to say, okay, 3x minus 1. It does not look like a 3. There we go. Now notice what I did. For x, I just put a big parentheses. I'm going to fill in that blank, that parentheses, with the next part, g of something. So the g of part is x squared plus 5x. X squared plus 5x. But notice that it is g of -3. They've replaced the x with what they want us to solve for when x equals something. Like, so they've replaced the x with what it should equal. X should equal -3. So I need to come in here and put parentheses for both of these x values. Now, if you put parentheses in, and especially if you're using that calculator, you will not go wrong. So 3 times x minus 1, right? But I want the x in the g function, g of x function, to be a -3. So I'm going to replace this x with -3 and this x with -3. Okay, so now we can start to clean this up to get a final answer. So, work from the inside, the farthest inside of those parentheses that you can. So -3 squared is 9. That's the reason we use the parentheses primarily, is because if you don't tell your calculator that and you're not thinking through it in your head, you're actually just using the calculator. If you just put in -3 squared, the calculator is only going to square the 3 and multiply it by -1, it's going to tell you -9, but that's not what this question's saying. This question's saying, what is -3 squared? Well, negative times negative is positive. So this will be, let me bring down this 3. -3 squared is 9. 5 times -3 is -15. I'll bring down the -1. So 9 minus 15 is -6. And now we've taken care of everything inside the parentheses, and we can start to do the rest. So distributive property, so -18 minus 1, and I get a final answer of -19. That is the value of h of g of -3. If you put in a -3 to g of x and then plug g of x into h of x, you get -19 is your output. All right. It's not simple. I mean, function notation is not as straightforward as we would often like it to be, but I hope that my explanation was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time.